All right, welcome back to Adventures in Marriage. We're just going to go into this Halloween part two haunted house, farmhouse story. So we're just going to get into it before we start. Tonight, we're having Shinerbach.
And some kind of red wine. And this is we need to cheers. This is to Giovanni. Sorry, Giovanni.
Don't call him Gio.
Don't call him Gio if you're not his friends or family. Yeah.
Or family.
So this is to him. We're gonna toast this to him.
Thank you, Giovanni. Okay.
Now, Giovanni, this might be a little scary, so
This
you might not
scare
want to watch it.
You might not want to watch this. I know you're sensitive. All right, so here we go. Situation. This is October 2018. Our lease is coming up at our apartments in Murfreesboro, and we're looking for a place to go. We're kind of in a hurry because we're having trouble finding a place, and our lease is up. So at that time in 2018, I think I was driving a lot of Lyft. Allie was working, driving Lyft and Uber on the side. And so at this time, I'm driving for Lyft, and in between rides, I'm looking for a place to live. So I find this farmhouse on a horse farm on 20 acres for rent in Walter Hill, Tennessee, off a little place called Allsup Mill Road. And I see it, I make a call, get a call back. I turn my app off and I head out from Nashville to Walter Hill to go check this rental out because we really need to be ready to move. So, so I am the first one to step foot on the property. You would think, given what we talked about in our last video, that I would have sensed something. And so, anyhow, I met with the landlord, looked around, liked it. It's 20 acres outside of Murfreesboro. Puts us out in the country, away from town, away from a lot of the happenings that are starting to go on in Murfreesboro 2018. So I call Allie. I say, hey, I found a place. Let's do it. Meet me out here. We signed the lease. And that's the situation.
So it's middle of October.
So Allie comes, it's me, Allie, and we sign this lease, and then Allie's gonna.
Well, we bring Carson to the house. Then I guess the next day or that day or something.
Oh yeah.
As we're pulling up the house, Carson says, "This looks like a haunted house," and we'll have a picture, a thumbnail or something of the house here. But it really looks a lot more dilapidated in person. The picture looks great, but when you get up close, you notice some paint peeling, and you go in the house and you notice there's lots of things that didn't look great. But it's okay. It's a house. It needs some work. Either we have to do the work and we take it off our rent, or we don't have to do the work. So that was our deal with our landlord. So she was pretty easy to work with. The one thing that happened though was when we moved in middle of October. It's still really nice out in Tennessee at that time. Usually weather changes either right before Halloween or right after. So this was still pretty nice. It was comfortable. It's 2-story house. 1 bedroom downstairs, the master, and then upstairs there's 4 bedrooms, and there's I think 2.5 bathrooms in the house. So or 3.5 bathrooms, yeah. So it's a really, really nice size house. Upstairs the HVAC worked fine. There was heat. There was air conditioning. It was great. Carson was comfortable in his room. Downstairs, we had never had an HVAC unit. There was one that didn't work, and it kept going back and forth. She kept saying, "Oh, I'm gonna install it this week," and our landlord kept pushing it off and making excuses. And so and so supposed to help do this, and other people, and it was just not happening. So, middle of November, she called me and said, "Hey, I was thinking about making a concession on your rent in December, since I haven't put this unit in." And she said, "What do you think is fair?" And I said, "Well, I don't think we should have to pay rent until we have a unit." So she agreed to that, and it was really nice. We lived there for free for the winter. Just like I said about the other house, I'd live there today because it was so cheap, because I am cheap. I used to be frugal and I met my husband, and now I have to be cheap. So anything that has to do with money, I'm okay to just deal with that. And we were pretty comfortable. After it started getting a little colder, we'd put We just have a space heater in our bedroom, and that's, we spend a lot of time in our bedroom. And it was kind of sad. We'd eat dinner together with the space heater on downstairs, and then, Carson go up to his room, and we go to our room. And it was kind of sad the way that we were living, but it was just, not very comfortable. So we did what we could do to make it comfortable. Anyway, so that was the end of October when we first moved, or the middle of October when we moved in. We actually looked it up today. It was October 15th. So.
All right. So
everything was fine.
Everything was fine.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks, everything is wonderful. Besides not having
it was beautiful out there.
HVAC and some heat, but it was nice.
Matter.
It was beautiful. It was great.
It was
nice,
really
wide
beautiful
open
out
space.
there. Yeah.
Horses, land, it's beautiful. So we are going to fast forward to Halloween night, 2018. I worked as a haunt actor in a place called Devil's Dungeon for 3 or 4 seasons in Nashville. Had a great time working there for the Warners. Got to play some different roles, got to do some fun stuff. Don't want to really get a whole lot into that, but I worked at a haunt. At this haunt, it was a 2-level haunt. You're supposed to descend from the first level down into the Devil's Dungeon, and it's supposed to get scarier as you go. Anyhow, it's a fun job. I liked it a lot. So on Halloween night, I'm off and I'm not working, and I am going to spend time with my son. So I take Carson to Devil's Dungeon. I think he's not quite 12. I think he's 11 at the time. We go to Devil's Dungeon, go through the haunt, and he wasn't that impressed. I wasn't that impressed. I worked there. Yes, it's a really good haunt, but when you work there, you know what to expect. Carson knew some of the actors, knew what to expect. So we get done, and we wanted a little more. So my wife had learned at work from some coworkers who's got some kids that there was a mansion. There's a mansion in Murfreesboro, off the main vein, headed out towards where we lived in Walter Hill. It sat off the road a little bit, and it was an old, dilapidated mansion. And so we heard about it. Carson and I decide, heck, we'll go to that scary, dilapidated mansion and check it out. And so we drive back to Murfreesboro. We get there. We get out of the car and lock the doors, and we take off to this mansion. And we get to the front door. The front door is open a little bit. It's really dark, really late at night. Pretty dark. And I'm not going to say this was a ghost. I'm not going to say it was a spirit. I'm just going to say something from inside that house told us, welcome to us on the outside of the house.
If you're a skeptic, this story is for you.
Yeah. So could have been a homeless vagrant. Could have been someone playing a trick. Could have been all kinds of things. I'm not going to sit here and say some disembodied voice came from that house. I can't prove that. I don't know. I just know the two of us heard welcome as we approached the door. So we turned around to go back to the car, and all 4 doors were open in the car I just left, and I locked. And we got to the car, and that was probably enough for most people to say, I think I'm gonna go. But we closed the doors, and Carson and I sit and wait for my brother, old Cyclops himself, to show up. He always wanted to be Mr. YouTube, Mr. I'm videography, all this stuff. So he shows up with his lights and his cameras, and he wants to do a Facebook Live of this mansion. So we sit and we wait for him to get there. And as we wait, you start to get a little more nervous, and you start to think, maybe this is a bad idea. And it turns out it was a bad idea. Like all things that you do with your 11-year-old in the middle of the night on Halloween, right?
I'm pretty sure he was 12.
Yeah, he could have been 12.
That's okay.
You're right. He could have been 12. Yeah, he was 12. 2018, July, he was 12. So we we wait for Dylan. Dylan gets there, and we make our way into this mansion with his nice little camera work and his lights, and we go from room to room, and this place was ripped apart and broken glass and walls ripped down and insulation everywhere and debris and crazy pagan artwork and all kinds of wild stuff up and down each floor and each room of the house. And it was a fun little video. I think we actually got quite a few views that night on the Facebook Live until we made our way into the major master bedroom and bathroom. So that was where we decided to get real dumb. And we turned off the lights, left the camera running, no lighting, and Carson, our son, he lets out a scream and says he felt like something touched him, grabbed him, and so we cut the lights back on, and we check on Carson, and Carson's freaked out, he's ready to go, and so we decide we're going to go. So we start to leave, and as we make our way outside, we are approached by Murfreesboro Police Department, Murfreesboro's finest, meets us and lets us know, you guys better beat feet and get out of here because you're trespassing. And we obliged and got in the car and left. So that's how this kicks off. Nothing happened in that house till after we went to that mansion on Halloween night. So I'm gonna let Allie take over.
Okay, so I'm not sure how many nights it was. Most of the story, it's been so long, and there's a lot of things that happened, so I'm not sure what night it was, but it was after this happened, after they went to that haunted house. I woke up late at night, maybe like midnight, it wasn't super late, and I heard what sounded like voices upstairs. And Carson's room was above our room in the house, and I heard it sounded like adult voices, like maybe I can't remember, I think it was one or two, sounds like men's voices, and it didn't sound like TV, but you never know. Carson did have a TV in his room and an Xbox, but it really didn't sound like TV. So I woke Rob up and I said, "Hey, Rob, there's some voices upstairs," and I wanted him to go check. And Rob didn't care about it. He just went back to sleep. He just didn't care. So he rolled over and back to sleep. Anyway, I'll let you continue that story since I was asleep after that.
So a little while later that night, I wake up. I don't know if it's an hour later, half an hour later, I woke up to the sound of, man, it sounds like a party upstairs. Talking, laughing directly above us. So I get up this time, and I make my way upstairs, and I get upstairs, and as you make your way upstairs, like I said, this place had a master bathroom down with a full bath and a half bath downstairs. Upstairs, there were 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. As you made your way upstairs and you turned left, you had in the front room of the upstairs, you had a pink, like an old little girl's room, colored all pink. In the room directly behind that room, you had a beige room. Then as you made your way down the hall, you had Carson's room, which was actually in the middle upstairs on the back side. That room was a red and white checkered room with its own closet, its own bathroom. And then on the front side of the right side of the upstairs was a blue room. So as I get upstairs, I hear the voices coming from the pink room. So I gotta be realized. I stood there for a minute, and I did not want to. I did not want to open the door. I didn't make any sense why there were voices in there, and but I did. I walked up to the door, and I did what any tough guy would do. I kind of turned my head and closed my eyes, and I opened the door, and I stuck my hand in, and I flipped that light on, and then I looked, and there was nothing in the room, and the voices were gone. And then I heard the chatter coming from the beige room. Same thing. I close my eyes and I open that door and I stick my hand in and I hit the light and I look, and beige room is empty. So I stop into Carson's room to check on him just to make sure He's asleep. This isn't the TV, that I'm just trying to make
Please
sure.
let it be the
that,
TV.
Yeah,
Please let it be the TV.
Yeah. So I open Carson's room. TV's off. He is out like a light. Check in, look at him. I shut the door, and then I hear voices from the blue room. So I make my way over to that blue room. This time I did not close my eyes, and I just opened the door real fast, hit the light. I looked once again. Nothing in there. The voices were gone. I stood there for a second, really confused, because I know that I heard what I heard. I know that Allie heard what she heard. I turn around, and there's my 12-year-old, like a creepy kid out of a horror film, standing right behind me. That gave me a heart attack. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, what are you doing? And I didn't want to scare him, so I said, I'm just checking on things.
Back to bed.
Go back to bed. So he goes back to bed. I'm real confused. I go back downstairs, lay down, go back to bed. It was just really wild and confusing. But anyway, I go back to bed, and I wake up again. I think it's about 3 a.m., a little after 3 a.m. And my Great Dane Gunny is standing in our door, his butt to us, looking out with a deep, deep barrel growl, just mean as can be. And so I jump up out of bed, I make my way over to Gunny, and he's backing his rear end into me, and he doesn't want me to go forward. And then I'm finally like, Gunny, and he takes off, and he runs to go upstairs. So I go to follow him, and then I look down, and on our couch downstairs is Carson sleeping. And I'm like, what in the heck are you doing down here, man? It's freezing down here. You got heat upstairs. You shouldn't be down here. And Carson says to me, he woke up, and he couldn't move, and it kind of sounded like he was dealing with some sleep paralysis. And he said that it was really hot in his room, and something grabbed him and tried to pull him out of bed. So he ran downstairs with Gunny, and he laid on the couch. So we ended up bringing Carson into our room that night. The dog's in our room, and we go to bed.
I'm just shaking my head because I just think it's funny that Carson just thought he was okay downstairs, but didn't come to us at all. He just thought he was okay if the dog was with him,
Right.
Okay. So we hadn't been there very long in that house, so we ended up we got a hold of a pastor who worked at the Walter Hill Baptist Church right down the road from us, and we didn't really have a church we were going to on a regular basis then, so we asked him to come to our house. So he came to our house, and he brought the youth pastor who was a veteran. So I guess I always think that Rob's gonna get along with veterans, so he brought him with him, and they came to our house, and I don't even think they went upstairs. They came in, and we talked to them. Rob talked to the pastor on the phone, but talked to them about what was going on in the house, and they just didn't really. They said they felt it. They said that it was heavy presence. They felt some kind of presence in there, but they really didn't even go upstairs. I don't think they didn't. No. They didn't do anything. They just didn't know how to help us, but they just prayed with us, and that was it. Thought it was kind of a cop out, but I just thought, well, that's we don't know what else to do. I mean, if I was Catholic, I would try to get a hold of a priest, but I wasn't. So we ended up dealing with a lot of the people later on. But after that first night with the voices, that's really when it kicked off. And I'll let Rob tell you more about that.
Yeah. So after that night, there were a lot of different occurrences. So I'll just try to just hit the good stuff. I was a 36-year-old loser playing video games and playing a lot of Call of Duty. And I don't play video games anymore, but I used to play a lot of Call of Duty and a lot of Madden and different games like Skyrim. And Carson also played games, so Carson had his game system upstairs. I had my game system downstairs. We played with my half brother and a lot of other friends and stuff online. And a lot of times Carson and I had experiences while playing. Like, for instance, I would have my headset pulled off of my head by something that wasn't there. I would see images of an old man in my TV screen. I would see images of things and people moving around behind me in my screen. Carson would experience the same thing upstairs. He would see things looking at him in the screen of his TV. He would feel really uncomfortable while playing. Heard a lot of voices. I would hear my name get called a lot, and the voice always sounded like my wife. And I would get up and be like, "Hey, did you call for me?"
Because I was usually in the bedroom because there's no reason for me to be out in the living room, and I just keep the space heater in my bedroom and stay warm in there. And I wasn't going to be watching those guys play video games because that would be even more of a leisure thing to do than play the games myself.
So, anyway,
you can tell how I feel about video games.
a lot of just weird things where just unexplained wild stuff would happen. And there was also a feeling of like whatever was there never wanted me to leave. It was a very like oppressive feeling in the house. Like it would just drag me down, mess with my attitude. It really did a number on me. It did a number on Carson. Carson had a lot of experiences that really depressed him. It really scared him. Carson had his own bathroom upstairs. That toilet used to overflow. I used to have to tell Carson when you use it, like make sure you toggle back and forth and make sure that it's not running, because it would run, then it would overflow and get water on the floor in the bathroom because it
which would leak down
into
the kitchen,
to the kitchen.
Ceiling. Yeah.
So Carson one day didn't jiggle it. It's not really his fault. I don't think it had anything to do with him. The toilet backs up and it floods his bathroom upstairs, and it just destroyed the ceiling in the kitchen. And so we had to clean that up and tell our landlord we don't really know what happened. We had a plumber come.
Well, it happened twice. So the first time we really blamed Carson. We were mean to him. We're mad at him.
Yeah, mad at him.
Second time we were blaming Carson again, and then we had a plumber come because, we had tried to stay on top of what was going on, but sometimes Carson, he's not the kind of kid who's going to tell you anything. He doesn't he won't tell you. Like, he didn't mention a lot of the stuff that was going on in the house until it got terrible for him. But yeah, the plumber ended up coming, and they pulled out like an old doll,
baby doll,
like one of those cloth dolls, and it wasn't like 1,000 years old or something. I mean, the house wasn't that old. The house was probably built in the 80s. But it was like one of those cloth dolls, and it had been down. I guess it was down, and it just once in a while it would overflow the toilet. But the ceiling was pretty much destroyed downstairs. We had to have some repair people come and fix the ceiling, and that was something. We knew the pastor said that it was kind of an oppressive feeling. We also had friends come over to play games one night, and they didn't want to come back. They said they weren't comfortable there. They said it was just really uncomfortable for them. But this was really probably the worst thing that happened. The first time that something really
this was a real confirmation.
Happened. Yeah.
This next event was a real confirmation that what we were dealing with was very real. So we had to call some guys to come and do the drywall and fix the ceiling. And so I schedule them, and they come, and my Great Dane just loved people and loved to see new people, so he would act kind of wild when people came over. And so I decided I'd put him on a leash, and I would take him outside and wait. So our driveway, you'd come up the driveway, and it split. And there was a house that our landlord also had that was to the left of the Y. Our house was the middle, and on the right side of the house, we had a separate garage. In that separate garage, that's where I was at with Gunny, off to the side with him. We had a lot of yard there. I had him on a good leash, and I was waiting. So these workers pull up in the driveway, and they keep driving straight, and they're not even looking at me. They don't even see me. They get out of their work truck. They make their way onto the porch. I finally said, "Hey, man, I'm right here." Those guys turned to me and looked at me with the wildest look and said, "Where's the old man?" There was an old man on the porch waving us down. And I said, "There's no old man here. It's just me and my dogs." And they really were convinced. They saw an old man standing on the porch waving them to come inside. And so I took them in the house to show them that it was just me and my dogs. And those guys did not want to come in and work on the ceiling. It took a lot of convincing, but they did finally decide to come in and do the work. The wild thing is they came in and they did the work to make sure the ceiling was good. But remember, they never did the trim.
I don't know, but they
left,
never did
they
the
left
trim.
all that
drywall.
They left that drywall. They didn't.
It was bad.
You could tell they worked as fast and hard to get the heck out of that house, and they didn't want to be there any longer than they had to be.
Yeah, they didn't. I don't know that they were supposed to remove the drywall, the old drywall, but they left it like right outside the back door. It was the and the back door was right off the kitchen, so they didn't do a terrific job. But anyway, they fixed what they were supposed to fix. Then we had to have someone else come over and help put the lights back up.
Yeah.
Robert Turner, thank you very much.
Yeah.
If you're watching this video, we appreciate you. So that was one of the people who came to our house who saw something weird. We also had a neighbor who moved in next door to the other house that was rented, and his name was Tim, and he did landscaping. And so he came over and he did some landscaping for us and mowing the lawn and stuff like that. And I mean, we had 20 acres, but we were responsible for 2.5, and there's a lot of mowing going on. And he, went out there with his girlfriend and his weed eater, and I mean, he just, tore up a lot of the stuff that was really overgrown. When he was doing that, he found something, he uncovered something. He showed us later on, and it was like some stones that were in the ground, like big stones, like big granite, I guess is what it was in Tennessee. Stones in the ground, and it was in the shape of a circle. It's kind of a weird looking thing, and kind of looked like it was put there on purpose. And there was a lot of property there that we never even went to. I mean, there was a lot of woods and stuff like that we never even ventured into. But he did that landscaping for us a couple times, and then he said he wasn't going to do it anymore because he every time he was out there, he said he felt like there was someone watching him from the house, and he kept thinking he saw someone in the house, and we were not home, and he kept saying, "You guys weren't home during this time?" And no, we weren't home. So he was pretty uncomfortable, so he stopped doing that. We asked him and his girlfriend one time to let our dogs out overnight, or we're gone 1 or 2 nights or something. And I said, well, hey, you can open the door, and Gunny will come out and you open the door. But the 2 little dogs, the 2 Yorkies, even though they're not going to be shut in there, they'll be in their crate. So probably go in and just grab them and bring them out, and they'll go potty or whatever, and they'll come back. And he never ended up getting the Yorkies out because the Yorkies, he didn't want to go in the house far enough to even grab the Yorkies out of their crate. And sometimes they'd come over and hang out on the porch, but they really never did much, and they didn't want to come in. And they did like us. It wasn't that because they had, we had made friends with them, but they didn't want to come over because they were too uncomfortable. There was, it got to be where even when I was home alone, like normally it only affected really Rob and Carson. They were the only ones who really saw stuff or heard things. I heard the voices the first time, but that was really all. I got a lot of, they mentioned a lot of things that they had seen and stuff, and I wasn't really seeing anything, but there were a couple times. I mean, usually I was out driving and they were home, but they were gone, both of them gone one day, which is unusual, but they were both gone, and I started hearing things upstairs and just hearing something going on. I didn't know what it was, and I'd go up there and check, and there was nothing going on. I thought, maybe the dog or something, but there was nothing going on. And I also was coming home late at night a lot because I was driving for Uber. So I'd drive come home at 3-4 o'clock in the morning because I'd end up in Nashville and have to drive home still after that. And I do remember at least once or twice I would see someone standing on the porch. And sometimes Rob would stay up for me because he didn't sleep very well since he was so uncomfortable there. But I remember coming home and seeing, like, I'd say, Rob, were you out on the porch waiting for me when I came home? And Rob would be like in the bed asleep. He was like, no, I wasn't out there. But I'd see someone standing on the front porch, and, you know, it would be lit. There were lots of windows too, so it would be lit up, and I could see, you know, a figure standing there, and it just looked like someone standing there. It didn't look like anything, you know, there was no question what it looked like, but I would see that kind of thing. Carson started seeing things also. He started seeing things even when he wasn't at home. He started seeing, I remember going to take him to practice. He played football, so we had this agility trainer he used to go to. I remember taking Carson to practice and him acting really weird, and like as soon as it was over, like jumping in the car like really fast, trying to leave. And, you know, usually we kind of hung around, talked a little bit, you know, hung out. He was his friend he played with, and Carson was acting real weird, and he said he kept seeing dark figures, and this was not at our house. It was in the middle of the day. It was light outside, and he was seeing dark figures behind his coaches. So it was getting to be, you know, really bad, where we're like, well, we're going to have to do something. I don't know what we're going to do. But I'll let Rob did run into some people, and then, you know, we also I'll let you talk about it. But we did find some people who we tried to get help from. So
Yeah. So first time we came across someone to try to help, I was driving for Lyft, and I was in Hermitage, Tennessee, and I picked these two women up to take them downtown in Nashville for the evening. And so they got in the car, and I got going, headed downtown. And as I got going in the car, this lady says, Carson is not safe upstairs in his room. You need to call home and get him to come downstairs. He's not safe. Never met this lady. Didn't know her. She knew my son's name, and she was really worried for him. So she told me, you know, you need to pull over. So we pulled over. She was really convincing and said, you need to call. He's not safe. Was there ever a fire in your house upstairs? She shouldn't have known that, you know. And I said, yeah, there was a fire that happened long before we ever moved in, and yeah, his room's upstairs. And so I called Allie and told her, you know, hey, Carson's not safe upstairs. Get him to come downstairs. And
don't you like having a wife who listens to you?
Yeah. So
So I went and got Carson. I said, hey, just come hang out downstairs with me. I just want to hang out with you, you know. And I was trying to be real chill and real cool about it. So.
So I get her number and information, and we invite her to come out to the house, and she does. She comes out, and what's really wild is she drew a picture of the house and stuff, and she had it for us when she got there, and she made her way around the house from room to room, had Carson putting down salt in the corners of each room, doing a lot of sage, and she tried to burn sage, and we had one of those green propane torches, you have to start fires.
I don't think her lighter wasn't working.
Her lighter wasn't working, so I get that torch, and that torch,
overkill.
we were trying to set the sage on fire, and the sage wouldn't catch, even with the torch. Wouldn't burn. Room to room. It would kind of burn, kept going out. It kind of burned, kept going out. So she went from room to room, and then she told us kind of what her read was. And she said the house had many spirits, but the house had also some demonic activities. She talked about just some of those things she came across, and then she talked about the blue room. And she said that she saw someone had killed themselves in the blue room. And she said she didn't know if it was something that happened in the past or something that was going to happen in the future. And she wasn't very clear at first. But then before she left, she finally came came clean on what her vision was, and she said that she saw that I was gonna take my own life in the blue room, and she left, and tried to get her to come back, because after that things got even worse. I mean, every night when we were trying to sleep, you would hear in the kitchen just the cabinets opening and closing, the drawers opening and closing. It sounded like somebody was cooking up a storm in the kitchen.
Every night we just go, oh, here just here it goes again. Like every night was like just a normal thing for us.
Same thing, names, disembodied voices. I would hear my name getting called. Carson experiencing a lot more of the same.
Yeah, there was more that happened after that too.
And the medium, we tried to get her to come back because it got worse, and she could never. So the one time she was gonna come back, she got in her car, and then her car stopped working, and she couldn't explain that. Her car didn't work. She couldn't make it to the house, and then she got really sick, and then she.
After she came to our house, she got really sick.
She
actually,
got
the first time.
she got really sick, and then she had to have surgery, hip surgeries, and she just never was able to come back. She said it was like the house was kind of tormenting her.
She thought she took something home with her, is what she told us. And I was driving for Uber too in my free time on the weekends, and I was driving one night for Uber, and I picked up a couple ladies, and the one lady said, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Oh, I live here in Murfreesboro." I was picking them up in Murfreesboro. She said, "Oh, where do you live? Because I'm, my family's from here." And I said, "Oh, we live off Allsup Mill Road, out toward Walter Hill and out toward Lebanon." And she's like, "Oh, Allsup Mill Road, huh?" I was like, "Yeah. Have you heard? You know where that is? Because it's off of Main Road." So I thought maybe she would have heard of it. And she said, "Well, I was adopted, but the family that adopted me, that was their property out there. It was the great grandfathers, or maybe great or three greats, I can't remember exactly, but she said, yeah, the person who owned all that property was Herb Alsop, and she said that was my great grandfather. She said he was a really cruel man, and she's told me, so she knew a lot of information about him. She said, yeah, my family all has talked about it. She said he was to make a long story short, it was him and his wife there, and they had slaves, and he had a young slave that he, R.I.P. whatever.
Rhymes with grape.
Yeah. And she got pregnant, and he sent her away to Nashville, and then she ended up coming back, and then her father, who was also one of their slaves who worked with them, I don't know if I think it was slaves, but I'm not sure exactly what the time was, but her father found out. And Mrs. Alsop was very nice, and she would do a lot of things. She would go around and visit the slaves and their families if they needed something or if they were sick. So she was out of the house, and Herb was home by himself, and he was sick or not able to get up or something. He was stuck in the house by himself. And that father of the little girl, the young girl who'd been pregnant, burned the house down with Herb in the house. And obviously it wasn't the house that we lived in, but it was on the property that we lived on. I'm not sure exactly, if it was on that property, if it was, a couple miles away or what. But our landlord owned about 300 acres out there. So, we were on 20 of it, but, I'm not sure if we were the exact spot. But anyway, the same area, in the same area there. And she said he was very cruel, and that he would, they all thought that he was still around, that he had some kind of spirit or activity, and they said they had things like that he had built for their grandkids, like little wooden horses and things like that, and he would and anytime the kids would play on those things, they would get hurt. It was like they would just fall off for no reason, or so they really thought that he left some lasting negative impact there. And she ended up sending me a picture. She got my phone number, and we talked for a while, but she got my phone number, and she sent me a picture of him a few days later when she had a chance, and it had been the same. I showed Rob the picture, and I didn't know if I showed Carson, but I showed Rob the picture and Carson the picture, and they both agreed that that's the face they've been seeing in the window, or in, not like a reflection, or in the TV. They both agreed that that's what they had seen. So we were pretty sure that Herb Alsop was there, was in the house, or in our there with us. And it was just It's really kind of a weird confirmation. I know that it sounds hokey, but it was just so odd that she knew so much and
about
that
it.
yeah,
And just like me,
just like with the
she gets
medium,
in the
yeah,
car with you, and
yeah,
and just
yeah. It was
knows
just
stuff.
really odd because I didn't bring it up that there was any haunting or anything going on in our house. She
Yeah.
brought it up to me. Yeah.
All
Then
right,
this is for
so
you, this for you, not paranormal.
so we had the medium,
Mhm.
we had a pastor, and so I did the next logical thing, I guess. I reached out to Rutherford County Paranormal Group and sent them an email message and stuff about, hey, what we're dealing with. Could they come out and help? And so the first time they came out, they brought two people, a man and a woman. They came, looked around, did a couple little, little experiments with some flashlights and a couple things, and then they were going to take it back to the group. And so they left, and then they took it back to the group to show their findings. And then they brought the whole team back. And so the whole team came back one night and did an entire investigation. And
Just like they said, like they have on TV.
like the ones on TV, they brought all the tools and the voice boxes and the flashlights and
Come in the middle, and it's dark outside.
the talking box, and it's dark outside. And they spent a lot of time with Carson in his room, and they did do some stuff downstairs, but not a lot. They said most of it was upstairs. There was a lot in the house, and then they were real interested in the property. So while they were upstairs with Carson, they ran their little tests and little
they did like that.
objects.
They did like the flashlight thing where they ask the flashlight questions and they ask the spirit or whatever it is to turn the flashlight on and off. And it was good. They were getting some intelligent responses. Things like, "Oh, do you want us to leave? Oh, are you, just whatever?
So,
did you die in this house?" All these different things. And they were getting some intelligent responses, which was kind of creepy. But they kept looking out the back window in Carson's room. And they kept seeing these lights out in the woods behind us, and they also saw lights in the barn, and there was no electricity in the barn. There's no reason for them to be lights out there, and the lights out there in the woods made no sense either. So I think they ended up going back out there. Is that what they did?
Yeah, I went out to the barn
Yeah,
with
I
one of the
didn't go.
guys, and I told him, I said, there's no electricity out here. I really don't want to go in the barn because I've seen these lights also. I was really uncomfortable about it. I used to have to go in the barn to get the horse feed out, to feed the horses. And it just always was a real heavy feeling out there. So we went upstairs, and the guy puts one of those flashlights down and starts talking, and that flashlight starts popping and moving on and on for the questions, and I was getting a little nervous, and I don't remember exactly what he asked it, but I remember one of the big open drum with the horse feed fell over, and a couple rats coming out of there. So they could have caused it to fall over. I'm just saying, in the middle of the night in the dark with the flashlight and everything going on, it scared the crap out of me. And so we went back down, and the guy said there's definitely a lot going on with the property. I guess enough so that they were too scared to come back because they didn't. They left. They did say that whatever was in the house was really, really interested in tormenting our son.
Well, I think that's what the medium told us also.
Yeah.
Like we were going, I was going
up
around with her, and she's like, no, and she had Carson actually put the salt down when she was doing the cleanse.
A lot of this
cleanse our house.
was aimed at Carson being in the house, and this thing really, really wanted to get a hold of him. So they left. They ended up sending us a big report later of their findings and confirming that there was definitely some activity in the house, very intelligent, kind of demonic stuff. And so that goes into the next real crazy part of this story. So
I'll let you talk about this.
One night,
actually, we've got okay. I'm sorry,
so
we kept a little outline here.
So
okay,
one
got
night, just like any good husband, I was doing the laundry. So I was in the laundry room. The laundry room, you had to go. The laundry room was in the back side the back right side, bottom floor of the house, the furthest right side. There was no door to the laundry room. You could see out from the laundry room, through the kitchen, into the living room. You could see everything. So we kept going back and forth to change the laundry over. Allie was taking a bath, and Carson was upstairs doing what any 12-year-old is doing, playing his video games. So
And Rob had come in there and seen me in the bathtub. He saw me
yeah.
getting in there.
So
Yeah.
Allie's taking a bath. I go to change the laundry over. I'm in there changing the laundry over. And I turn and I look, and I see Allie completely naked, soaking wet, walks out of our bedroom, turns, looks directly at me like she didn't know me. I said, "What are you doing?" And she just stared at me, gave me a little kind of crooked smile kind of look, turned towards the front door, and kept walking. So where you could see from the angle, you could see Allie come out of the room. There's the column
stairs.
where the stairs go up. So she comes right past the column, and I don't see her. And then coming this way from the front door past the column is my son. And my son heard me talking to someone. And he said, "Who are you talking to?" So I make a beeline into the bathroom, and Allie is still taking a bath in the bathtub. And that was probably, to me, the scariest, most frightening thing I'd ever seen, ever. Was seeing my wife's doppelganger walk out of our bedroom naked, look at me like she didn't know me, with just a really eerie kind of grin, and just keep walking away. It scared me. I made Allie and Carson come into the kitchen.
Well, I made Rob stay in the bathroom while I finished rinsing my hair.
After
I was like, "You stay here and watch me."
So we all went to the kitchen. I let both of them know. You
Announce
stay
yourselves.
with me. You come in the room. You acknowledge it's you. You announce yourself. It was terrifying. It was really scary, and so we, of course, had info. At this point, we were going to Walter Hill Baptist Church, so we relayed this final event to our pastor and our pastor's wife, and that leads us into the wrap up for this.
So our pastor's wife was a doctor in town, and she had a patient. I think her name was Penny. She met this patient, and she had. I think she asked Penny what she did for a living, and Penny talked to her about the gifts that God had given her, and she was involved in something called Deliverance Ministries. So our pastor's wife shared our story, and she knew that we were really dealing with a lot. So she asked Penny if she asked us if she could give Penny our information and talk to her. So we ended up setting an appointment up with Penny, and then her there's some people she worked with, I think out of Chicago. They came to Tennessee. They came to Nashville. We met up with them. Their Deliverance Ministries is what it's called, and I'm sure there's a different name for it, but that's what they do. So they sent us a bunch of stuff. It was a bunch of papers. These papers we had to read. I renounce astrology. I renounce all these things that Mason. Any kind of Freemason stuff. You had to just pray this prayer and renounce all these things, witchcraft, all this stuff. So they ask you if you've been involved in any of that stuff. So for 2 days, I think it was 2 nights. Was it 2 nights?
It was 2 nights.
Yeah, we went to a hotel in Nashville with them. We met up with them at the hotel, and we had like 2 days and nights, 2 nights, 2 days, and we talked to them. They asked us all these questions about, have you done any witchcraft? Are you involved in this? Have you used a Ouija board? All these things that maybe could have caused what's going on in our house. And they also asked Carson. They asked Carson a lot of questions. They asked us our stories, because we are all Christians. So they asked us all of our stories about, our salvation. And they asked Carson about what he had seen in the house, and they had Carson draw something. And I wish I would have taken a picture of it, because it was the craziest, scariest thing I've ever seen. It was like a goat man kind of thing, with the horns and this cloak, and it had he even had some kind of amulet or some
Amulet
kind of
or
like
something around his
some kind of amulet thing around his neck that was like, I mean, something that, maybe you could have seen in a movie, but I don't think Carson had seen any movies like that. But something he said he'd never seen before. But the things that he had, like that amulet, we had never seen that. We'd never shown Carson anything like that. And they knew a lot more about what he drew than we did. We didn't, know. And we didn't know Carson had seen that. Like we said, Carson doesn't really share. He's not much of a sharer or a talker, not like us.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, so anyway, Carson had done that drawing, and they were very scared. So they did come out to our house, and they came out there, and they walked around our house, and they told us, you need to remove this, you need to remove that, you need to remove that. Like Carson had, we do like scary movies and scary things before this, and we liked all those horror and things. So Carson had like a picture of Pennywise the clown on his wall, and they said, you need to get rid of that. And Carson had a lot of superhero stuff, but they wanted us to get rid of a lot of that, and that was kind of hard for Carson and Rob because that was kind of something that they bonded over. So he did get rid of some stuff, but saved some things. When Carson had come to live with us, his granny had given us this big trunk of things that she had that were like kind of his souvenirs from places he'd been and things. And over the years, we kind of got rid of a few things here and there because a lot of them, they were so before Carson was, before he can remember, so they weren't really important to Carson, and we're not very sentimental, so we got rid of some things, but there were still some things in there. There were some crystals, large like rose quartz kind of crystals, and there was also this stone, and it was like a hollow stone, which we later found out that can be used for like astral projection,
Called
which
a Chronos stone.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah.
Rob looked it up. I don't know. Rob researched this. But Carson's granny, I should have mentioned this, but Carson's granny actually, and his mom claim to be witches. They are witches. Rob's got more information about that, but I don't know much about that. But they are witches. They are like witches is what they are. And so she had given him this stuff, and before we didn't tell them anything. We didn't give them any kind of preference. We didn't even think about the fact that they were witches. But they told us we need to remove that trunk of stuff, all the stuff in there. We kind of said we don't want to remove everything, so we took out the baby blanket and the pictures, and that's all we kept. And that it was like a crochet baby blanket that Carson had. So we didn't want to get rid of everything, but we wanted to get rid of what they thought was important. So we instead of just throwing it away, like Rob should have taken it to the dump and thrown it away, he just put it in that detached garage. So he put it in the detached garage, whatever. So they kind of came in. They walked our property, did all these oil smudges on all the doorways, did all this oil smudges and all these prayers, and they walked our property and did the prayers all around our property, even outside of our property line, kind of where they felt led to do it. And these ladies they were very well. There was also a man with them, but they have a real gift. Penny knew, like, at one point she went outside to the front porch, told me to come out there with her because she was in our dining room and she felt something evil. She was very sensitive to this stuff. She said she prayed when she was younger, years before. She had prayed for God to use her in some way, and he uses her to help this kind of thing. It's really amazing. It makes me want to cry because she really has a real gift. So anyway, they left, and things were pretty good. She came back a little while later, a few days later, or maybe the next week. She came back to our house. Penny came by herself, and she said, there's still some stuff here. She said, there's stuff. She came in our dining room. She said, there's still something here. Rob had taken that Pennywise picture and put it behind another painting that we had in our house that was like leaned up against the wall. So she felt that there was still something there that he didn't get rid of. So anyway, Rob took it out, put it out in the detached garage instead of throwing it away in the trash. But anyway, so we had the trunk was still out there, but things were good. Things were going pretty well. And we had when they walked our property, they came back and they told us there were a lot of things that they saw that maybe were reasons that things were bad. There was a tree that Rob said it looks like a hanging tree. Like a tree that, only has like the trunk and like one branch on the side, and all the rest are all missing. And they said that there had been some Freemasonry kind of stuff going on out there, which I don't know much about that, but I know you could go down a real rabbit hole looking into Freemason stuff and what kind of demonic or evil kind of things that people say that they do. And we also had like this on our mailbox. It has a stone mailbox, but it had this little cut out kind of carving thing. It was like a decorative thing, and they said that was something that was a Freemason symbol or something. And they just basically told us to let them know what happened. So like we said, our landlord, she had a lot of property out there, so she had other people working for her, and she would hire a lot of people who were like homeless and things like that. So at one point she asked us, the one of the ladies who was working for her asked us if she could stay in the garage. Now the detached garage was out there, and it was the door didn't close on the garage door. It just seemed really sad. I didn't really think that was a place for anyone to be living. It was, open to the elements, and the garage door didn't work, so it wasn't like she was going to have any kind of shelter. So she asked if she could stay out there, and I told her, you know what, we have this room in our house. Just come in and stay in the blue room. It's fine. We got a bed in there. Just come, just stay in our house. If you want to help us clean the house once in a while, that's fine. But she didn't do much of that. But I think she also took some money out of Carson's piggy bank. But anyway, things started happening again. We started hearing voices again, and I don't know if it was voices or exactly what. Stuff started happening again. Things were weird stuff. Same kind of stuff. And our landlord fired that lady, and she left. And I went in the room after she had left, and I noticed that she had brought that trunk in from outside. Now, I don't know if she had brought any of that stuff in, but she had brought that trunk in, and I put it back out. I put it back out in the garage, and everything stopped again. So there definitely was some stuff there, but I really think that a lot of this was demonic. Carson dealt with a lot. Like he was seeing, I don't know if we told you in this video, but he was, when it was really bad for him, he was like seeing his mother, his real mom, in his room with her, along with his younger siblings. I mean, he knew it wasn't real, and he told me that he told them, "You're not real," but
this
that's
thing was
very
like
sad because
it was like a mimic.
Yeah.
It was it's like a shifter, a mimic. It liked to play with you by looking like things that you knew or loved. It was really strange.
It was really strange, but after that happened, after that we didn't live there much longer. But I think that it all resolved itself. Yeah, it was really amazing, and we were so thankful to those ladies to come out. And every time I see these stories on Reddit and on all these other platforms, and people don't know what to do or they move out, I wish that they could reach out to those people. But I don't know. If you're going through anything like that, try to just search for Deliverance Ministries, because these people were the only thing that really helped. Nothing else helped. Everything else made it worse. And I'm sure that it was a demonic spirit. It was not any kind of little, wasn't something that just moved stuff around the house or something like that. It was really demonic, and I think it really affected our son a lot. Yeah. It affected us, and even me, who doesn't have those kind of. It was even affecting me, and I don't really have a sensitivity to that stuff. So anyway, that would be. I want to share that because I think that that's something that people need to know. It's out there, and you need to, you don't want to keep playing with the Ouija board and doing all these other things and the sage cleansing and all that. I don't think that's. I think in the Bible it says not to do those things, and we just thought that was the only way to get rid of it. But really, the only way to get rid of that is through God.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up Halloween Part 2.
Yeah.
That's it for those stories. So we are gonna go with a friend to do a thing Thursday night. We're going to record that night, do a review of what we do, and get it posted. We're also going to go to Universal Studios on Saturday morning for November to show you a lot of the Christmas stuff as they change over and talk about what Universal looks like for the holidays. Mm-hmm. If you like this video, if you like what you saw here, these last 2 videos, please like, comment, subscribe, let us know. And we appreciate you guys hanging in there.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna get into some more stuff too later on. We're gonna start doing some more videos after that. But this holiday, this October season is really fun time to do these videos. Yeah. So this will be it for kind of scary stories from us, and we're gonna get into more of just relationship and marriage. Mm-hmm. So have a good night. Glad to hang out with you. Thanks for watching. See you soon.